Farsight Enclaves, the supplement for Codex Tau Empire, put out just last weekend. In the last few days I've gone through and read the entire thing, cover to cover, all the fluff, all the battles, everything, and so I'm going to just give you a review and my opinion. First of all, on the Kindle version here, I'm really not happy with it. I mean, it's full of a lot of errors and a lot of extra stuff you just don't need in here. There's a lot of rules from the main rule book that are for some reason put on each individual model, and I'm not quite sure why they did so much copy and paste just to pad it out. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so the first part of the book is where Farsight came from, how he became a student of Pure Tide, and after that, how he reclaimed World's Lost to the Imperium and his battles with the Orcs and Chaos, which led to his ultimate rebellion, because he began to figure things out that the Ethereals were trying to hide from the rest of the Tau. And so I'm going to go into too much more detail than that. So overall, I think the fluff part of it was absolutely excellent. I thought the writing was descriptive, yet it was short enough that it didn't take a lot of time to read it, and there's a lot of detail in the battles, and I was very impressed and very entertained by all of it. I didn't think it was slowed down at all. It was by far my favorite part of the supplement. So after the going through the battles, it gives a brief timeline. And then we get into the 8, which are the characters that have rules in the supplement, and gives you a brief description and pictures of each of the 8 characters that are part of Farsight's basically command squad. Then you get some brief pictures. There's not a whole lot of you can see here. In the Kindle version. I'm sure if I worked on it I could see them better. And then this is very interesting, something I've probably never seen before in a Games Workshop book. There's actually some tips and strategies on how to use a super mobile jetpack infantry army. And I was quite surprised that this is in here. It talks about the way you need to stay out of harm's reach and then go in for the killing blow when the time is right. And there's one section here called Timing is Everything, and I can't disagree with that at all. So I thought it was very interesting. There was even some hints of how you should play the army, which as I said, I've never seen that before in anything from Games Workshop. Okay, now we start getting to the actual rules. And the main part of the rules is, of course, the biggest change is that all XV8 Crisis Suit teams are troop choices, which to me is the most awesome thing ever. And unfortunately, I don't have enough Crisis Suits. I only have like 11, and that's nowhere near enough. You do have to have, though, at least one team that has 3 full suits in it. So you can't run like 6 units of 1 model each. You can't do that. Of course, they have preferred enemy orcs, but only in close combat, not in shooting. And you have to buy the bonding knife ritual on every system possible. And every unit that can take it, you have to buy it. It's not free anymore, so you absolutely have to purchase it. The signature systems are changed. You can't use any of the signature systems from the book. And to be honest, the signature systems that come in here aren't very good. However, a couple of the characters of the 8, which is Commander Farsight's command team, have some of the important signature systems, like Pure Tide Ingram chip and what was the other one? Oh, and an Iridium battlesuit. So there are a couple of those. There are also new warlord traits. They're pretty underwhelming, actually. I'd probably just go with something out of the book. There is one that on a 2, you basically get to have a permanent Pure Tide chip, You have to choose one of the Pure-Tide chips abilities, and you have to keep that for the rest of the game. But the other 5 aren't that interesting. Same with the signature systems. They're overpriced and they're just meh, not too exciting. So there's really, other than the Earthcast pilot array for an XV-104, you get to reroll once to hit and reroll the Nova Reactor die each turn. So there's a much smaller chance of the Nova Reactor not going off if you take that in a Riptide. And this is an interesting one, Talisman of Arthas Moloch. You roll 4 dice when making your Deny the Witch rolls, so you have a much better chance of getting that 6 you need, which is interesting. So and then there's some stratagems for Cities of Death and Planet Strike. I've never played either one of those. I don't have either one of those supplements, so I just kind of skipped that part. Now, some very interesting here is there is a bunch of missions. And most of the missions in here, in fact all the missions, are meant to represent one of the important battles that they talk about in the fluff. So you can recreate those. So you got the Damocles Crusades, you've got the the Fork fights, and you've got the Chaos fight, and so that's, I mean, they're really very specific. They're not really meant for general use, so they're not like general missions. They're very specific. You know, like Farsight versus Oryx, or Farsight versus Tyranids, or something like that. So that's pretty much, if you want, they're just there if you want to try and duplicate some of the battles in the book. There's really not much else to it. And then finally, the very last part is the rules for the 8, rules and points costs for the 8. You have Farsight, which is exactly the same as he is in the Codex. So I'm talking about night vision and supporting fire on every unit. I don't understand it. Then you have the best part about the 8 is they're all independent characters, every single last one of them. So you can do it, and you don't have to take Farsight, of course, to take one of the 8 or use a Farsight Enclave at all. The only restrictions, you can't take Anva or Shadow Sun. And those are really the only restrictions, and the signature systems, of course. So what's really cool is they do have a Riptide independent character. He's quite spendy. He's loaded out with pretty much everything, including 2 shielded missile drones. So you can get, but still, having an independent character, Riptide, sounds really fun. And you can join him to anything and let him sit there and tank for the Fire Warriors or whatever. Just, it's cool. I think it's cool having a monstrous creature independent character. It allows for a lot of unit of 2 Riptides with 4 shielded missile drones. Sure, why not? This is where we get into. Let's see. This is the biggest error here, is Bravestorm, but he does have one of the signature systems, the Iridium armor. So, and then the other one, there's also a broadside independent character. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Chef Bastos is the one with the Pure-Tide Ingram chip, and Vector Retro Thrusters. So he's really good to go with a broadside unit or anything else, really. He's really good. And they said, and then there's a broadside independent character. So you have a unit of 4 broadsides, which I don't see anything bad with that at all. And some of these guys come with gun drones, so there's some nice. You can put those next to the guys for the lookouts there, so the gun drones can take the hits first. And here's the guy with the broadside. He comes with the high yield missile pod, velocity tracker, 2 missile drones, and a seeker missile. And he's an independent character with better leadership, so he's definitely worth thinking about too. Altogether, you know, if you take the 8 plus Farsight, including Farsight's one of them, so there's 7 guys plus Farsight. You're looking, you know, close to 1,500 points worth of guys. So you're never probably going to take all 8 in a real game, but in one of the scenarios, you take all 8 and you fight a bunch of Tyranids, which represents the last battle in the fluff for Farsight. Yeah. So, what do I think about the Farsight Enclave rules? I think they make Tau even more broken than they already are. Crisis Suits as troops, to me, is amazing, both for fun and just for power, because there's so much firepower you can put on 3 Crisis Suits. Give them 2 burst cannons each. They're super cheap. I think they're like 42 points each or something like that way. And you can just fill up your troop slots and just put out so much firepower. And you can hold in reserve. You can deep strike them on objectives. Fun stuff like that. It's just really good having Crisis Suits of troops. And then, of course, the characters themselves are all really useful. Farsight himself is a beating stick, just like he always has been. And the other guys, the other independent characters in there, there's so many fun things you can do. And I think broken things. But like putting the broadside guy with a unit of 3 broadsides. The guy with vector retro thrusters can go anywhere, especially with Farsight, because hit and run runs off your highest initiative, not the base initiative, not your average initiative. So since he's initiative 5, if you get him and the vector retro thruster at the same time, you're almost guaranteed to get hit and run. So don't be surprised if you start seeing Farsight Enclaves on the table a lot more, because they are really, really good. So anyway, I think I've rambled on just about enough. Was it worth the $33 I spent on it? I think so, because I'm going to use it. I'm definitely going to be running a Farsight army, Farsight Enclave armies in the future. I have my Farsight, the new Finecast Farsight model, which I still have yet to finish building. But this will definitely inspire me to get it going sooner than later. So definitely expect to see some reports with Farsight Enclaves in the future. But that is going to be it for this video. Farsight Enclaves, super duper thumbs up. Talk to you guys later.